Hi, so I've just got some scrap black clay here. I've got some scrap black clay which I've rolled out on a number 2, and I'm just using a trusty old stencil. It's an old one, it's in holes. So I'm just going to go over it with a roller just to push it down. I've got my metallic pan pastels here, and I'm just using some sponges so I can alternate the colours more, find some small ones. So now I've rolled it, I'm just giving it a burnish just to make sure those edges are down. So I'm just dabbing it here and there. I started off with the darker silver, and I noticed you can't see the difference on camera, but one is lighter than the other. It's a nice little set, these metallics actually, you'll see. Just patch it in here or there. I mean, you don't have to use metallics. You could use mica powder, you could use chalks. But I haven't used mine. In fact, I don't think I've used them on the tutorial, have I? I'm having to do voiceover because my microphone, well, I basically went on my computer and the settings had all changed and I couldn't get it to work again, so I just recorded it and catching up now. So you can see all the different colours starting to take effect. I really love the bronze one. It's got a lovely subtle sheen. And if you don't like where you put the colours, you can go over them with pan pastel and change your sort of colour sequence. Okay, and I'm just giving it a burnish, just trying to ingrain it a bit. Brush it with a light brush. I just use a blusher brush. And here I've got some texture. It's quite coarse, so I want to texture this now as well. So I'm using the roughest side of it. It does make a difference because I made one without it as well, and I much preferred it with. Okay, so that is obvious. I'm just cutting away the surplus. So I'm just looking for a small oblong. You can see the sort of size I'm doing. You can see how the colours shimmer. Okay, so I've just got some texture here, and it's just like strips. It's just off a rubber mat. So it just gives me nice balanced lines. So I'm just texturing that into the clay. I did that clay on 0. stick quite thick. Now if you don't have anything with any texture with lines like that, just a little tip, I've just rolled some more clay out on a number 2 and got a cocktail stick, and if you press equally each side and press in, you get a very, very similar effect that will do the job nicely. I was just being lazy because I had to rubber tread. And I just did that quickly, but if you do them balanced, it comes out really well. So I've just got my liquid clay ready, so I've got something to attach the sides to. Oops. So I'm not being too generous with it, just enough that it will adhere. Just eye guessing, and looking at the side of the piece that I've done, I'm trying to do about the same thickness. And I'm going to use 2 because I won't be enough, and my tread wasn't any longer, so if you can do it in one, all the better. Just be mindful that you know your points are going to marry up, you know where you start, so make that a tidy edge. At the top I know I'm going to have a bail, so I'm not too bothered if there's a little gap. Okay, so that should hold pretty well. I'm just easing it in gently with the tissue blade just to help it adhere. Okay, so that's holding quite well. When I'm ready, I'm going to put it into the oven at the manufacturer's recommended temperature, but I am going to put it on a very slight dome because I want it to have a very slight arch. I'm just tidying up that edge where the join was. Okay, so it's out of the oven now, and as you can see, it's got that nice little subtle dome to it. I've rolled some black clay out on a number 3 because I want it to be quite thick and chunky. So I'm just going to use a texture which is a kitchen sponge covered in metal wire. So give it a first press just so it adheres a little bit. Okay, when I go in, I'm going to go in at an angle because I'm mindful of the circular pattern around the edge and I don't want to lose that with the backing. Okay, so I've got my basic shape, and then I'll repeat. Okay, so I'm making sure I add a good bit of pressure around the edges especially, and make sure there's no air bubbles. I've got wonky fingers and I'm dropping everything. Okay, so I'm just pressing in where those circles are to make sure that none of the clay from the backing is getting in there to ruin the effect. So I'm going in at a slightly deeper angle now, because I like that quite intense angle, it looks nice. Go for the chunky piece. Just rechecking the pattern on the edge again. It's important not to get any clay showing through there because it ruins the whole effect. It takes a little time to do this, but it's worth it. Get what you put in with these things, don't you? I'm just using my little stamp on the back. Signature stamp. I seem to have missed the beginning of this tutorial, so I rolled some clay on the number 2. I'm just imprinting a pattern with a texture tool just to give it something around the edge. I'm just doing it on the front one. And I'm just going to get my ball tool and add a few more little dots. I'm just reshaping it to make sure I get any excess off. And I'm just using my bronze pan pastel on the front piece. Oh, here's where I missed a bit. Basically, I stuck the two together and I made a Y shape, and with the bottom half I just put the tissue blade there so it wouldn't stick at the bottom, and I've just added liquid clay and I'm doing the same obviously with the main piece, and I just need to make sure they adhere. Now's the time for the final checks. I'm just going to get my ball tool and take advantage of those little holes at the front. It allows me to press the bail in a bit more. Okay, now it's all ready to go in for its final bake. Just going to put it on a tile and let the oven do its magic. Okay, so here's the finished piece out of the oven. I'm really pleased with it. It's come out really tidy. Okay. Oh, and I used a matte varnish on the front over the pan pastel pieces, just to finish it off. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Bye.